A woman in Ikaria, Greece, started making lentil soup twice a week at 67. Not because a doctor told her to, because her neighbor, who was 84 and hiking up a hill to her sister's house, told her it was the only thing she had changed when her knees started going 20 years earlier. 6 months later, the woman called her doctor to cancel the follow-up appointment for her knee medication. Her inflammation markers had dropped significantly. Her doctor asked what she had changed. She said, soup. Her doctor wrote it down, skeptically. She went home and made more soup. In this video, I am giving you the exact recipe called fah-kes in Greece, pronounced fah-kes, a word that simply means lentils in modern Greek, eaten on this island for centuries by people who had no name for what they were doing and no idea it would eventually be studied by universities. Every ingredient, every step, and the single detail in the preparation that most people skip, and that the researchers who studied Ikaria and Centenarian say is the difference between a regular lentil soup and one that actually reduces the kind of inflammation driving joint pain after 60. You need 5 core ingredients. All of them are in any Walmart or Kroger. The soup takes 30 minutes. And there is one thing you add at the very end, not during cooking, that the science says changes the absorption of everything else. Get a pen. The recipe starts with green or brown lentils. Not red, not French, not beluga, green or brown, dry from the dry beans aisle. A 1 pound bag costs about $2 and will give you at least 4 to 6 good servings. Do not use canned lentils for this recipe. They have already been cooked soft and they will fall apart into mush before the soup has a chance to develop. Dry lentils hold their shape during cooking and give you the texture that makes this dish worth eating twice a week for months, which is the minimum timeline before you notice what it does to inflammation. Here is your complete shopping list. Pause or write this down. 1 cup dry, green or brown lentils, dry beans aisle, $2 for a full pound bag, 1 medium yellow onion, 3 garlic cloves, 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil, you likely have this already. 1 can of diced tomatoes, 14 ounces, about $1.50. 1 teaspoon of dried oregano, the McCormick bottle in the spice aisle, about $3. Half teaspoon of ground cumin, same aisle, same small bottle. 1 bay leaf, a small jar in the spice aisle, lasts months. 4 cups of water or vegetable broth, salt and black pepper, and 1 lemon. This is the most important item on the list. I will tell you why in about 5 minutes. Total cost between $6 and $8 for 4 full portions. 1 trip, any supermarket. Now the recipe. Every step in order. Start by rinsing 1 cup of dry lentils under cold running water until the water runs clear. This takes about 30 seconds. Now, if you have time tonight, before you go to bed, put the rinsed lentils in a bowl, cover them with cold water, and leave them there until tomorrow. Ikarian families have always soaked their lentils overnight. An 8-hour soak does 2 things. It reduces phytates and lectins compounds that partially block the absorption of iron, zinc, and magnesium from the lentils, and it shortens the cooking time from 25 minutes to 15. The soak is not required. But the families who've been eating this soup for generations always did it. If you are making it right now without soaking, that is fine. 30 minutes total. Heat 2 tablespoons of olive oil in a medium pot over medium heat. Add the diced onion, cook 4 minutes, stirring occasionally until the onion becomes soft and translucent. You want it to surrender its sharpness, not to brown and caramelize. Add the minced garlic and cook exactly 1 more minute. This is the moment in the recipe where most people walk away to check something in the other room. Do not. Garlic burns in approximately 90 seconds at medium heat, and burned garlic will make every bowl of this soup taste bitter through every reheating for the entire 5-day life of the batch. 1 minute at the stove, watching it, that is what Ikarian women do. Add the rinsed lentils, the oregano, the cumin, and the bay leaf. Stir everything together so the spices coat the lentils. Let them sit in the oil for 30 seconds, just 30 seconds. This briefly activates the fat-soluble compounds in the dried spices. Add 4 cups of water or vegetable broth and the can of diced tomatoes. Stir, bring to a boil over medium-high heat, then reduce immediately to a low, gentle simmer. Cover the pot. Cook 25 minutes. If you soak the lentils overnight, start checking at 12 minutes. After the time is up, taste a lentil. It should be fully soft, with no resistance, no graininess, no bite. If it is still firm, cover and give it 5 more minutes. Now, the critical step that most American adaptations of this recipe omit. Turn off the heat completely. Let the pot sit with the heat off for 1 minute, then squeeze the juice of 1 full lemon directly into the pot. Stir. Taste. Add salt and black pepper to your preference, starting with half a teaspoon of salt. That is fah-kes. That is the soup. Here is why the lemon goes at the very end, and not during cooking. Citric acid, the primary acid in lemon juice, prevents legumes from softening properly if it is present during cooking. The acid interferes with the hydration of the starch granules in the lentils. Add lemon while they are still on the heat, and you will get a soup with a partially firm, slightly grainy texture no matter how long you continue cooking. It will taste acidic, but the lentils will never reach the soft, creamy consistency that makes this soup what it is. The lemon goes at the end. The heat is off. The pot has rested a minute. This is the rule that Ikarian women pass down to their daughters, and it is the rule that most American food blogs quietly drop because it seems too finicky to matter. It matters. Now let me explain why this specific soup, this combination of green lentils, oregano, olive oil, tomato, and lemon, reduces the kind of inflammation that shows up as joint pain after 60. A study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition followed 800 adults over 60 years old for 3 years, measuring their legume consumption and their blood levels of C-reactive protein. CRP is the primary marker doctors use to assess systemic inflammation, the low-grade, chronic, body-wide inflammation that researchers now believe is the underlying driver of most joint pain after 60, most cardiovascular disease, and a significant portion of cognitive decline. The people who ate legumes, lentils, beans, chickpeas 4 or more times a week had CRP levels 38% lower than the people eating legumes once a week or less, not 5% lower. Not 10% lower, 38% lower in the people with the most consistent legume consumption. The mechanism involves 2 pathways working simultaneously. Lentils are among the highest plant sources of polyphenols, specifically procyanidins and flavonols, that directly suppress the production of inflammatory cytokines at the cellular level. This is not a gentle effect. These polyphenols block the same inflammatory signaling pathway as several classes of anti-inflammatory medication, at lower potency but with no side effects and with consistent cumulative benefit over months. The second pathway is through the olive oil, oleocanthal, the phenolic compound that gives high-quality extra virgin olive oil its characteristic throat burn when you swallow it, blocks the COX-1 and COX-2 enzymes, the same enzymes that ibuprofen blocks. At the doses present in 2 tablespoons of olive oil, the effect is not equivalent to taking an ibuprofen, but it is present, and it accumulates over weeks and months of using olive oil as your primary cooking fat. The cumulative anti-inflammatory effect is measurable. The oregano in this recipe is not incidental. Oregano contains rosmarinic acid, the same polyphenol found in rosemary and sage, with documented anti-inflammatory effects. When dried oregano is briefly cooked in olive oil, its fat-soluble compounds activate and dissolve into the fat, becoming significantly more bioavailable than oregano added cold at the end of cooking. In Ikaria, where a research team from the University of Athens documented that residents over 80 have dementia rates roughly 75% lower than Americans of the same age, lentil soup is on the stove at least twice a week, year-round. The women who make it have never heard of CRP. They do not know what a polyphenol is. They know that this is what you make when someone's joints are acting up. And they know that you add the lemon at the end. The woman who started this video represents a pattern that researchers have documented repeatedly in communities with consistent legume consumption. Not a dramatic recovery, a gradual measurable reduction in the systemic inflammation that was making her joints progressively worse. The inflammation does not vanish. It goes to a level the body can manage without pharmaceutical support. Her doctor was skeptical. Her CRP numbers were not. Now, let me address the supplement that most people in her situation are spending money on. Glucosamine and chondroitin supplements are the most commonly purchased joint health products in the United States, with Americans spending over $600 million annually on them. In 2006, the NIH funded the glucosamine chondroitin arthritis intervention trial, GAIT, the largest and most rigorous study of these supplements ever conducted, with 1,583 participants and controlled methodology. The primary finding, glucosamine and chondroitin, alone or in combination, showed no significant benefit over placebo in the majority of participants. Subgroup analyses suggested possible benefit in people with moderate to severe pain, but even those findings were not replicated in subsequent studies. The soup cost $7, 4 portions, no side effects. Here is the version that goes beyond the basic recipe, once the fah-kes is already your Tuesday and Thursday lunch. In week 3, when the basic recipe is automatic, add a 1/4 teaspoon of ground turmeric and just a pinch of black pepper to the pot when you add the oregano and cumin. The active compound in turmeric is curcumin, and the clinical evidence for curcumin's effects on joint inflammation is substantial, including a 2016 study in the Journal of Medicinal Food showing significant reduction in the number of swollen joints, the intensity of joint pain, and the overall disease activity score in arthritis patients over 8 weeks. But curcumin has one well-documented problem. It is poorly absorbed from the digestive system when taken alone. Piperine, the alkaloid that gives black pepper its heat, increases curcumin bioavailability by up to 0% by inhibiting the enzyme that breaks curcumin down before it can be absorbed. The pinch of black pepper is not optional if you are adding turmeric. It is the mechanism that makes the turmeric work. The soup already has olive oil fat, which further increases curcumin absorption. The combination of turmeric, black pepper, and fat in a single dish is the delivery system that clinical researchers use in food-based curcumin studies. You are building that system into every bowl. Make a double batch every Sunday. 2 cups of dry lentils, double the onion, garlic, spices, and liquid. It keeps in the refrigerator for 5 days without degrading in quality. Reheat individual portions with a splash of water over medium-low heat 5 minutes. Add a fresh squeeze of lemon every time at the end with the heat off, not once to the whole batch when you first make it. Fresh lemon each time you eat it. The island of Ikaria is not remarkable because of exceptional genetics, exceptional climate, or exceptional wealth. Ikaria is a poor island by Greek standards. Many of its residents have never left. The diet is simple because simple food was all they had. Lentils because they stored well through winter. Olive oil because the trees were everywhere. Oregano because it grew wild on the hillsides and cost nothing to pick. The health outcomes came from necessity. The necessity became habit. The habit became culture. The culture became the thing researchers flew from Athens to study and found they could not fully explain. What they could quantify was the CRP. What they could measure was the dementia rate. What they could observe was the woman who was 84 and hiking and eating fah-kes twice a week and could not tell you what a polyphenol was, but could tell you that the lemon goes at the end. She has been right longer than the research has been running. By day 30 of making this soup twice a week, you are not measuring the cumin anymore. By day 90, this soup is no longer a recipe. It is what you make on Tuesdays. It is what your neighbor smells through the window. Tonight, put 1 cup of green or brown lentils in a bowl, cover them with cold water, and leave them on the counter. Tomorrow, the soup is 15 minutes away instead of 25. If this recipe was useful, Subscribe to The Healing Kitchen. Every week, one recipe from the world's longest living communities adapted for your kitchen, your budget, and your body after 60. Drop a comment. Have you ever cooked lentils before? Yes or no? I want to know what we are starting with. 1 cup of green lentils, lemon at the end, heat off, twice a week. That is the recipe, and that is the protocol.